Hello, second grade turtles, and welcome to reading for today, Monday, August 29th. So let's warm up with a little word play. Word play means we're going to play on words, that we're going to have a joke that will be funny because of the meaning of the words. So our question is, how are dogs and trees alike? Think for a moment. How are dogs and trees alike? They both have a bark. So this word bark has multiple meanings. One of them is when a dog barks, goes like woof, woof, woof. And the other one is this part of the tree that's made out of bark. So they're alike because they both have a bark. You can tell your family that joke later. So this week, our journey story that we're reading has to deal with dogs. What do you notice is similar or different between these two little dogs? Before we read, let's go over some vocabulary words that we can use to help us talk about dogs. Or these words can also be used with other animals too. Okay, please repeat each word after me. Say it out loud at your own house. Curly. Curly. A poodle is a dog that has very curly hair. So the word curly is talking about when the hair like twirls and it goes kind of like that. Do you have curly hair? Straight. Some kinds of dogs have long, straight hair. So this is describing the dog's hair. If you said no when I asked if your hair was curly, is your hair straight? Floppy. Hound dogs have floppy ears. The ears hang down very low. And they kind of like flop around in the wind. Drooled. The St. Bernard drooled all over the place. So he has spit coming out of his mouth that's falling everywhere. You might drool when you sleep. And notice this has this ED right here. That means it happened in the past. So if we're talking about it happening right now, if I was to say, please do not drool on Zoom, I don't want to see spit coming out of your mouth right when we are on Zoom. Collars. Collars come in different styles. A collar goes around a dog's neck. And a collar often also has like a little circle or another shape that has information about the owners. It will have their address or their phone number and name, and it'll also say the dog's name. And remember, this also could be other animals. Sometimes cats might wear collars. Weighed. A dog can be weighed on a scale. Then the vet knows how heavy the dog is. So when talking about the dog, we might say, how much does the dog weigh? Stood. The children measured the dog. He stood 1 foot tall. So you can see he is standing. Row. The dog treats are lined up in a row on the shelf. So here's 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows on the shelves. As we read, look for clues that help you understand the meaning of words. So if you forget any of the words we just went over, you can look at pictures or other words in the sentence to help you understand the meaning. similar to what we talked about in social studies last week, you guys are going to be reading detectives. Let's read what this says. Welcome, reader. Your help is needed to find clues in texts. As a reading detective, you will need to ask a lot of questions to understand what you are reading. You will also need to read carefully to find evidence, clues to figure things out. We can ask questions that start with who, what, where, why, and how. We can figure out the meanings of words that we do not know, like how we just talked about. And we can look for clues in the author's words, so how the author says things, the pictures, and the captions. Remember, captions are sentences that are explaining what's happening in pictures. Okay, we've gone over how to be reading detectives and some important vocabulary words that we'll be using or we'll be seeing in our story this week. Now we are going to do what's called preview the topic. We're going to read a little bit more about what our story is about. So follow along with me as I read. All dogs are alike in some ways. Dogs are also different in some ways. Some dogs are short, some dogs are tall. Some have long, skinny tails. Some have short, fluffy tails. The different ways a dog can look are called traits. Go ahead and say that word out loud. Traits. Each dog's traits make it special. In Henry and Mudge, the book we're reading this week, you will read about one dog who looks different from all the others. So I definitely know that not all of you have pets, but you know about pets at least, or you've maybe been to somebody's house that has pets. So I want you all to think to yourself, why do people like to have pets? On a blank piece of paper or a lined piece of paper, draw a picture and write a sentence or two to answer this question. And this is your opinion. That means what you think. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's what do you think? Why do people like to have pets? Draw a picture and write a couple of sentences. And if you're not sure how to start your sentence, you can use a sentence starter that's in purple. I think people like to have pets because blank. Put your reason in that blank. After you do that, then listen to the read aloud, but not until you think about why people like to have pets.